This week's episode was brought to you by Theodore Bridgman. Thank you, Theodore Bridgman. It's with the generous support of listeners like you that we here at The Whole Rabbit get to keep bottling fresh tears from the weeping eyes of the demiurge, which we use to water the fresh soil of our carrot garden, which we feed to our bunny farm of psychic rabbits, who write the content for these episodes using a form of non-Euclidean telepathy, which our human researchers interpret through complicated divination rituals, which evidently require an ever-increasing budget for lemon-lime flavored gelatin. Frankly, I'm not sure what they're doing with it. If you'd like to help us keep the gelatin flowing or just hear the second half of this episode, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you the extended full-length uncensored edition of this episode, but access to our entire library of extended episodes, which cover all sorts of strange and otherwise occult content, which is browsable from right within the Spotify app after you log in. It's pretty cool. Not only that, I'll send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker for our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art, and you'll even get the secret keys to our Discord server, which is the best place to swap stories, hang out with fellow listeners, or find out how insanely frustrating it is to play Scrabble against Heka Astra. You've been challenged. If you're enjoying the free show just fine and would rather save your $5 for a discount bottle pressurized cheese, then please consider sharing an episode with a friend or posting about it on social media. We promise if you do, the algorithm will show you the door outside the Matrix, where Socrates is smoking blunts with Big Bird and hot dogs are always free. Check out our $20 a month tier if you'd like an in-depth tarot reading from yours truly. I promise it's the best deal you'll get on the internet. Just sign up, send me a message, and we'll find a time to do the reading. In this week's episode, we flirt with paranoia as we explore strange superstitions and weird folk rituals from around the world, covering everything from why you shouldn't whistle at night to the dread of spilling the salt and why some cultures think throwing babies off a 30-foot temple is good luck. In the extended show, we discuss Wryneck Wheels, Whistling in the Woods, fairy lore, and the cursed German submarine UB-65. We also read some pirate poetry, speculate about fairy abductions, Mexican owl witches, and why breaking a mirror is 7 years bad luck. Thank you, and enjoy the show. We're just talking about Heka's face today on the show.
No, not my face.
So how do you know if a rabbit's foot really brings good luck?
Oh.
Go ask the three-legged rabbit.
Oh, man.
Did you know that garden gnomes are a symbol of good luck?
Are they?
No.
It's a little gnome fact.
Come on.
You shouldn't be superstitious about Friday the 13th, you know.
Why?
It's bad luck. My psychic told me I'd be having bad luck until 30. He also told me to get used to it after 30.
Oh.
I'm not getting these.
You know, Steve Irwin had pretty bad luck. He put on sunblock, but it didn't block the harmful rays.
Oh. That's bad.
I'm going to hell now.
I was going to say, what is it too soon?
Crikey.
Break a mirror, that's 7 years bad luck. Break a condom, bad luck may outlive you.
Oh, man.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just tell you why Friday the 13th is unlucky due to a bunch of uppity French aristocrats who decided to accuse a bunch of Christian warrior monks of spitting on the cross and kissing the devil's butt because they didn't want to pay back the debts on their loans, which was probably spent on fancy chocolates and giant poofy dresses. Nay, we go into vivid detail of why everything else is unlucky too, and what we can do to outwit disaster using a hyper-vigilant form of esoteric paranoia, because this week we're exploring why you should never whistle in the woods, and other strange superstitions from around the world. I'm your host, Hack Rabbit, also known as Luke Madrid. I'm joined this week by our co-hosts, the Hound of the Holy Horseshoe, Marisama,
Hallelujah and howdy do.
the Kidnapper of the Garden Gnomes, Heka Astra.
Hello.
We have talked about you being a criminal before, haven't we?
I think we have.
So if you ever have bad luck in your life, you can just blame all the garden gnomes you used to kidnap.
Yeah.
So genuinely, do you guys have any superstitions that you personally obey?
I mean, I was thinking about it for half a week, and I really can't think of anything that I regularly do out of
Really?
Not really.
I do. It's also being chalked up to OCD. If I see a specific pattern in floor tiling, I'll have to walk that specific pattern. I don't like to step on the first or last stripes of cross crosswalks. I don't like to step on the lines on sidewalks or cracks in sidewalks. If I'm walking with someone that I like, friend, family, or Luke, I will not split a pole because I imagine there's an imaginary thread between us and I don't want it to be broken.
You say bread and butter if that ever happened.
You could definitely chalk it up to being based on superstitions. It's a type of magical thinking. OCD is what it would be described as, I think, in psychology.
I dated somebody in high school who would say bread and butter if the pole split us holding hands too. So that's a well-known counterspell.
Yep.
I will just straight up turn back and go back around to whatever side that they were on.
That is another counterspell. I tend to think if I see a hummingbird while I'm working on the podcast, that's good luck.
It's always nice to see a hummingbird, though.
You know what's cool about them? They can go forwards, backwards, up, down, left, and right.
I have had twice in my life a hummingbird try to eat from my head.
That's great luck.
Apparently. I mean, the first time it made sense because I had really bright blue, kind of like an electric blue hair color. But the last time was this summer and it did not make sense because I do not have colored hair anymore.
It's just your sweet aura.
I was going to say, you probably smell like sweet honey.
My mom has a couple superstitions that I don't understand. Like, she refuses to buy things in odd numbers. So, like, if there's like plates or bowls or cups, cutlery, anything at all, if she's buying multiples of it, it has to be in an even number. She says it's bad luck if it's an odd number, which I always thought was kind of strange.
You know, as a salesman, I always tell my customers they need to buy 2 of something, otherwise it's unlucky.
It's funny because in marketing, if you get into doing store displays and stuff like that, odd numbers are more aesthetically pleasing. So you put things in 3s and you offset them, you know, like in a triangle or 5s or 7s, and it's more aesthetically pleasing to have odd numbers.
You know why? Because that odd one is just for you.
Exactly.
Or it can be in the center.
Or maybe there's something in the back of our minds that knows that it should be even, and so we buy one to make it even. I don't know, maybe there is something to what my mom said.
You know how I know it's a superstition? Because I'm afraid to admit it. I dread seeing the number 333 because I associate it with unwanted attention from the demiurge. I usually counterspell it by saying the Lord's Prayer.
You know, I think that's probably a really common occultist superstition where it's like, oh God, there's the number.
It's because it's associated with Coronzon,
The dweller of the abyss.
You see it and you're like, no, not the abyss. Oh no.
which is exactly what Coronzon would want you to say.
Well, it's funny because my lucky number is 4, but you go to Asia and that's like the number of death.
Yeah.
And of course, we're doing this episode in honor of Friday the 13th, which is tomorrow, hopefully when the episode comes out.
But we already did an episode about that, so check it out.
Yeah, that episode was mostly focused on bad luck, I think, though.
And kissing the devil's butt.
Yeah, that too.
I do remember one more from when I was a kid, and that's if I found a dime. For some reason, it was always a dime. If I found a dime, my mom would have me put it in my shoe. And sometimes that even meant having to take off my shoe in public to put the dime in my shoe.
I've never heard of that one.
Y'all are weird. Well, I don't pick up unlucky pennies. I guess that's what I do.
How do you know
Unless
it's an unlucky?
If heads is not up, if it's facing down, then it's unlucky.
Oh.
They're not
well,
really
that-
supposed to pick it up, but if I'm broke, I'll pick it up. But like,
That's more pennies for me then.
You're supposed to flip it over and leave it for the next person.
oh, I didn't know that part.
We don't have pennies in Canada.
You will soon.
So what the heck is a superstition anyway? I did a little sleuthing with the etymology of the word, and both the words superstition and superstitious were first used in the Anglo-Norman languages, which is English and French, during the early 13th century. The word was taken from Latin superstitionum, which means prophecy, soothsaying, dread of the supernatural, excessive fear of the gods, religious belief based on fear or ignorance, incompatible with truth or reason. The word itself actually literally translates to a standing over. It's an action noun derived from superstare, which means to stand on or over, or to survive. We get this from combining super, which means above, plus stare, which means to stand, make, or be firm. Today, it's kind of still unclear why the term standing over in Latin was used to describe superstition.
I'm going to take a stab at it.
All right.
I think it means that despite our limited perspective regarding fate, destiny, or even ethics. There's a cosmic order or reason for the way things happen. It's like saying God works in mysterious ways. There's something standing over us that we cannot understand.
Over history, some notable people have talked about this word. For example, St. Augustine believed a superstitious person was too religious, overzealous in practice, and gullible in belief.
Whoa.
Kind of like they prepared too much. And then St. Thomas Aquinas also had a comment about this. However, he thought that superstition was more attributed to one who stubbornly held erroneous beliefs and remained non-critical of these beliefs, even when presented with facts and logic that disprove them.
Wouldn't that technically mean all Christians are superstitious?
How about that one?
If you believe that sinning will make you go to hell, wouldn't that be a superstition?
Well, if it gets to the point where it interrupts normal life and makes you seem crazy, then yeah. Overzealous means, overreactive. Something like, oh, your palms will break out in hair if you masturbate, or, those kinds of things are, but saying that you'll go to hell for sinning is probably just not that extreme.
So it's okay to be a little stitious.
I mean,
Yeah, probably.
Some people would say that all religion is totally 100% superstitious. Like,
Right.
Carl Sagan's Demon Haunted World.
I think that's kind of my point, is wouldn't that be a matter of perspective as to whether or not you think it's like overdoing it or not?
Yes, one man's superstition is another man's religion. So don't touch your
Fair
penis
enough.
or your palms will get hairy.
And you'll go blind.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, Thomas Aquinas pretty much was saying that this is someone that cannot be convinced, even with facts and logic, that their beliefs or behaviors are basically ignorant or don't have any merit.
If you can't understand something, overstand it.
Maybe that's what it means. So meanwhile, the Western Europeans came to start using this term as a description for overzealous pagans, as from their frame of perspective, the pagans' old ways were literally standing over the current religion of Christianity and propagating these ignorant and useless beliefs. This is probably where the Latin word came into common use. And surprisingly, I also found that there was already a word in Greek before this for superstition, and it was specifically defined that separated actual religious beliefs, including the pagan traditions. So it differentiated that from the nonsensical, misleading, and false beliefs of superstition. They called this desedaimonia, which means fear of supernatural power. This is a noun formed from the adjective meaning both pious and superstitious.
Is that like Desdemonia?
It's like daisy-daimonia. There's like an extra syllable in it.
It looks like what you're saying, Heka, but it has an extra I in it, or at least it seems that way to us.
Interesting.
Daisy-daimonia.
So for those of us who do have either spiritual, religious, or especially magic beliefs, it would be most appropriate to use this term, desedaimonia, we can't even say it, to describe practices or beliefs we don't agree with. After all, as I said before, one man's superstition is another one's religion. In fact, according to the early teachings of Peter J. Carroll, the uncle of chaos magic, if you will, superstition is one of 6 magical systems of belief that a practitioner should practice and abide with for however long is necessary to understand the nuances and connective fabric between each of them. In this section of the book, superstition is given the title Low-Chaoism, suggesting that chaos magic itself is an evolution of superstition, which itself is a valid, albeit older, system of magic.
Oh, I love that.
I think it's remarkably helpful, and it's something you should experiment with, all 6 of the paradigms. He describes the superstition paradigm thusly.
All phenomena having come from the one source, there exist mysterious connections between things with similarities. All like things contain the same signature or essence. They share the same spirit. This essence or spirit can be made to go into other things by bringing the signature-bearing objects into contact with whatever is being treated. This is the principle of contagion. All things being connected in diverse, mysterious ways, one can take augury from anything about anything of which it reminds one. There is nothing that is not an omen about something else to those who but have the wit to know it, and by similar wisdom, anything can be affected by performing the required action on some other thing that reminds one of it. Like attracts like. Principle of similarity. Wisest of all are those who know the most deeply hidden connections. They are able to be reminded of that obscure by the more obscure. They know what sacrifices are to be made to adjust or placate the essences of things. Morality is the avoidance of misfortune. One's next incarnation will be as whatever creature was most reminiscent of one's activity in the previous life.
And then inside Liber Null, and I believe in Alan Chapman's Advanced Magic for Beginners, we're taught to pay attention to our luck and to try and reverse engineer what exactly is making us either lucky or unlucky and then playing along with the superstition. We're of course warned that this is not the be-all end-all of magic, but it is something to keep in our tool belt. Okay, so now that we know what a superstition is and why we should pay attention to them, let's jump in and start with one of the most common superstitions out there. So in terms of superstitions we may be familiar with here in the West, the spilling of salt is among the most common. After all, everyone knows that spilling the salt at the dinner table is bad luck. Likewise, most people reply to such an unlucky accident by immediately throwing salt over one's shoulder, typically the left, in what Professor Jane Risen of University of Chicago calls jinx avoidance behavior. So we talked about some jinx avoidance behavior.
My mom just did this yesterday.
I've also heard that if you're left-handed and throw it over your right shoulder, it doesn't do anything.
What?
The devil is on your left shoulder.
But everything's backwards for left-handed people. That's why they're sinister. In fact, that's what the word sinister means. So left-handed people are unlucky.
Wouldn't they also throw it over their left shoulder?
No, because
No.
the devil controls the other hand. It's cross bicameral evil devilism.
I throw it over my left shoulder with my left hand. What does that mean?
Well, that means you're doing it right.
Oh.
But people, like, if you're left-handed, the natural way to do it is to cross your arm over your right shoulder. It's just a natural gesture that people do without thinking. But if you're left-handed, you have to go straight over your left shoulder.
I don't know, man. That sounds wonky to me.
I just heard it somewhere. I don't know.
All right, so while academia is the last to admit in something as tenuous as luck, Risen studies do show that performing jinx avoidance behavior, like throwing the salt over your left shoulder, it actually does have a positive effect on one's actions afterwards. So just do it anyway.
I mean, if it psychologically gets you there too, then why not?
Yeah, placebo effect.
So Maury, as you mentioned, the folk explanation for throwing salt over the shoulder is in hopes that it'll blind the devil sitting there, the left one, presumably. Okay, but why? What's with the salt in the first place? According to folk wisdom, this belief began with Leonardo da Vinci's painting The Last Supper, where Judas is clearly depicted as spilling the salt. Well, this sounds convincing enough. The truth is that da Vinci depicted Judas spilling the salt because it was already a well-established superstition, which added valuable context to the painting. One exquisite explanation comes from Piero Valeriano Bolzani, a pioneer in the study of Egyptian hieroglyphs during the 14th century in his book Hieroglyphica, where he states,
Salt was formerly a symbol of friendship because of its lasting quality, for it makes substances more compact and preserves them for a long time. Hence, it was usually presented to guests before other food to signify the abiding strength of friendship. Wherefore, many consider it ominous to spill salt on the table, and, on the other hand, propitious to spill wine, especially if unmixed with water.
I personally think that's the best explanation I've ever heard.
I just don't think spilling wine is a good idea at all, but I guess I've been proven wrong.
Well, it sounds like one of those practical things, because you don't want drunk people getting pissed off. They're also gullible. It can be like, oh, it's too bad you spilled your wine, but it's good luck. They're like, oh, I'm so special and drunk. Call an Uber. I'm going to go throw up in his car.
I mean, salt has been used for a really long time for any purification and preservation, sanctification, both in actuality and in ritual. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Others have said that it's because salt was such a valuable commodity in biblical Judea, that when guests were visiting, they would be served salt first as a sign of hospitality, trust, and friendship. According to the 17th century, French author Charles Nodier, amongst what he referred to as savages,
The action of spilling salt indicates among them the refusal of protection and hospitality from such strangers as they may have reason to suspect are thieves and murderers.
which of course is what Judas was, at least in the painting. So prolific was this idea that salt's precious value is supposedly what led to the misnomer that Roman soldiers were paid with it, and this is etymologically where we get the term salary.
Ah.
Well, this does well enough to explain Da Vinci's reasoning for depicting Judas spilling table salt. There was likely a biblical one there as well. During the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said,
Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men.
so in essence, spilling the salt can be interpreted as an accidental confession of one's treachery, to which blinding the devil is the proper cost of repudiation. Strangely, in a totally unrelated culture, Mahayana Buddhists in India do something similar by throwing salt over their left shoulder during funerals to prevent evil spirits from entering the house. Go figure. So we'll see this time and time again. No matter how good our explanations are, there's some other culture that's doing the exact same thing. Of course, if you'd like the entire spiel about why salt works to ward off evil spirits, check out our episode Psychic Self-Defense by Dion Fortune, where she explains it in depth. So if accidentally dropping salt is bad, but throwing salt is good, does this also apply to other things? How about babies?
Oh my gosh, don't hurt the baby.
As almost anyone who's ever held a baby will know, despite an almost automatic and even overwhelming sense of responsibility, many people also report sudden and involuntary flashes of disturbing mental imagery, such as spontaneously throwing the baby across the room.
No.
Despite one's initial feelings of guilt or shame about such mental flashes, they are so common of a phenomena that the French have a title for it, l'appel du vide, which means the call of the void, and also pertains to mental flashes one may have while driving or looking over the edge of a dangerously high place.
I have this all the time.
Like, a lot of people report that if they're driving on a bridge, they're like, what would happen if I just cranked the wheel all of a sudden?
Or like, I have a fear of heights too, but sometimes I'm like, what if I actually fell?
So studies have shown that this happens regularly in perfectly healthy, insane people, which they believe may be a side effect of our complex biology, warning us to be sure to avoid such behaviors.
The first time I held my niece, the thoughts that were going through my head were like, don't drop the baby, don't drop the baby, don't drop the baby, don't drop the baby. So it's definitely something that's like, I mean, I guess if you weren't worried about dropping the baby, maybe that could manifest as what would happen if, instead of, telling yourself not to.
I mean, it makes sense to have some sort of negative reinforcement, and because you can't actually experience it, your mind would conjure it to mental appearance, and so you could have the negative feedback. Like, it's like mentally vaccinating yourself against doing something you know you're not supposed to do. I'm not a scientist. Have you ever seen the yeet the baby or yeet the child memes?
No.
No.
What?
What?
Mari's never seen the yeet the child?
No.
What am I even doing? Okay, well, I'm sure somebody who's listening to the show has heard of this. I'm degenerate. I hope. I'm the only one that's seen Yeet the Child. What does the algorithm think of me? Well, as it turns out, yeeting the child is actually good luck in some cultures. Although, there's some safety procedures thrown in because, what kind of monster just chucks a baby?
I've seen people play with babies by tossing them in the air, but I don't think that that's the same.
Well, hold on a minute.
So, Luke, why do you have a picture of someone throwing a baby in the notes?
Well, let me tell you, Heka Astra. He looks like he's having fun, right?
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
He looks terrified. So the practice of baby tossing, as we refer to it in the West, this is a technical term, is said to have begun in India about 700 years ago during a time when infant mortality was incredibly high. While the details are murky, modern-day participants claim that it was either a saint or a trusted priest who came up with the ritual, urging parents of sick children to build a temple, throw them off the rooftop in a display of faith towards God, who would reward the participant with a blanket or hammock suddenly appearing to catch the child at the last second.
Oh my gosh. What?
Don't do this.
No, this is terrifying.
That's because you don't have enough faith. Well, it's hard to imagine how well it went initially.
I'll let my kids die.
Despite efforts to get the tradition shut down, it still continues today in a form that's not as dangerous as it's frequently sensationalized to be.
So somebody out there had to be the first one to be like, hey guys, you know that tall temple that we built? I'm going to throw the baby off of there and you guys catch it. Does that sound like a good idea? And somehow it actually happened. And then it continued to happen. Like maybe the person was like, you know what? I'm going to throw the baby no matter what. So you guys better catch it. How did this start? Seriously, how did this start?
I tried to figure that out. It's been going on for so long, nobody's really sure.
Somebody had to be the first one to be like, I'm tossing a baby off this temple. What?
Well, they had to build the temple first. You don't just go pick a random temple. In fact, that's a part of the story because it's erroneously said to be performed at Krishnawar Temple to Shiva, which upon inspection is a 240-foot tall ornate behemoth that seems to be missing a good balcony for throwing babies off of.
So they built this specifically to throw babies off of it?
They originally were told to build a temple to throw the babies off. But now I think they just use, in fact, they actually use mosques as well, because it's not just the Hindus who do it. It's the Muslims in the area as well.
I really want to know how this started. I really, really want to know.
It was probably spectacular.
I just don't see it being easy to convince people to do it.
Well, these days, it traditionally occurs in the first week of December, so it just finished. And like I mentioned, both Hindus and Muslims do it. They're usually dropped from just a height of about 30 feet, so you don't really chuck them off a 240-foot tall building.
How old are these babies?
Up to 2 years old.
Jeez.
This is typically performed by a priest who gives the child a gentle shaking before flinging them off.
Oh my God.
The children then fall safely into a crowd of people that are holding a stretched tarp. Like in the old cartoons?
Yeah, kind of like when they get people to jump out of burning buildings onto a... Okay, I see it.
So, of course, the ritual is thought to be performed as an act of devotion for faithful families. But those who participate are also under the impression that it gives the child greater resilience, health, intelligence, and fortune for the remainder of their lives. Few enough accidents occur for the claim to be made that nobody has ever reportedly been accidentally hurt or killed during the ceremonies.
Well, that's good to hear.
So Mari was quick on the draw because after watching a few videos of this ritual, I am perfectly convinced it's actually safer than some of the times I've seen just regular old dad throw the baby way up in the air. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, my brother does. Well, my brother did that with his newborn, and I honestly thought that he was crazy. He would throw him like really far into the air and catch him.
So if you know someone like that, you've seen something crazier than the baby chucking ceremony. So
Okay.
yeah, it's still pretty funny though. And the kids do look genuinely frightened. 1 minute you're being handed to a priest, he's like shaking you real hard and then just chucks you off a building.
It's so bad. Don't shake the baby. You know what it does remind me of, though, is that the amniotic fluid inside the womb is actually great for shock absorption. And so this kind of seems like almost a practice that extends outside of the womb after birth, because even the fetus, when it's inside the womb, will change positions for different forms of shock absorption. And the amniotic fluid does have a role in that. So it kind of seems like, hey, don't lose this ability, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we are primates, and I would imagine we've been selected for holding on to mom in the trees. So it must happen to something really deep and primordial within us. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know, but it makes a little bit of sense to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, baby throwing, or even the thought of dropping a baby, it kind of reminds me a bit of the Fool card in the tarot. You have the descent of the spirit into matter in the Thoth tarot that's symbolized by the descending dove. And then in the Rider-Waite deck, it's the innocent fool advancing unawares towards the edge of a cliff. This is kind of like the start of the journey, the baby of the tarot.
Oh yeah, he has to make the fall to become the magician. Yeah.
Well, that's good enough for me. I'm chucking the baby.
Oh my God, don't throw the baby.
Another truly bizarre superstition regarding babies is in regard to a squishy, see-through membrane referred to as the caul. With a few notable exceptions, the presence of a caul sticking to or even enveloping a whole baby during birth is seen as remarkably good luck in numerous different cultures.
So for people who don't know what a caul is,
A caul is, biologically speaking, said to be composed of the snapped inner lining of the amniotic sac, which very rarely is stuck to the infant's head, face, or sometimes chest at birth.
sometimes I think it's called baby's hood, because sometimes it can be like around the head.
Yeah, isn't a caul like an article of clothing that's like it's like a shawl or something with a hood?
Oh, I think, are you thinking cowl?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay,
That's
never mind.
Yeah, it's spelled different.
Well, I think it indicates the same thing.
It might, yeah.
Like that's some old fancy English way of spelling it, probably.
A cowl neck on like a shirt or a sweater, it does kind of just look like a whole lot of excess fabric around your neck.
Oh, okay. So that word actually comes from the French word caule, which means cap.
Oh, there you
So
go.
it's like
I
an
think it
article
is
of clothing.
probably-
Yeah.
I think it is related. That's funny.
Same ballpark. In Russia, it's called a rodisia v rubashki, or being born in a shirt, which is such a deeply embedded cultural artifact that dashcam videos on YouTube of lucky near misses or other narrow escapes include this phrase in the title.
Oh man, those are the best videos.
The luckiest type of caul is when a baby is born entirely enveloped inside their unbroken amniotic sac.
So this is like a motorcyclist getting hit by a car and landing on his feet.
It's very
That's,
rare.
that's a birth version of this, I guess.
Yeah,
Because I guess if that were to happen, then the water wouldn't have broken.
correct, I believe.
Okay, that is pretty rare.
Look, doctors don't know anything about women anatomy at all. It's just a mystery, so we just make it up as we go. So while this is thought to be an omen of a great or mighty person, in the occult tradition, it's believed to indicate a natural potency with magic, and is thought to be highly protective, like a form of supernatural armor.
I can dig it.
As a reference to this exact ancient folk superstition, in Stephen King's novel The Shining, the profoundly psychic Danny Torrance is born with a caul obscuring his face. Because of the belief in the caul's supernaturally protective qualities, it was often sought, sometimes at great price and urgency, by sailors to ward against drowning. Some would refuse to set sail unless one was hanging from the bridge or captain's quarters, with some opting to have them sewn into their trousers for extra protection.
Ew.
Gross.
It's not funny.
What the fuck? Ugh.
Because culls are rare, only accompanying 1 in every 80,000 births, the cost of one can be significant. While almost universally considered lucky, Romanian folklore gives it a dark twist. According to Romanian tradition, being born with a cull did indicate protection from drowning, but only because it meant that whoever was born with one was destined to die with a similar hood over their head during their execution at the gallows.
Oh, dang.
Whoa, random.
As the phrase goes, he who was born to be hanged will never drown.
Oh, no. That's so dark.
Worse still, the presence of a cull was sometimes thought to indicate that once the fellow did eventually die, they would be reborn as a loathsome strigoi, a mythical creature sometimes thought to be the inspiration for the vampire.
Well, that sucks.
We've talked about them in our vampire episodes, including Silent Hill number 2. Strigoi, Striga, they're called.
Get it? That sucks.
Oh, I get it!
Haha.
In the old days, their bird-like nature was emphasized. Imagine a witch who can also turn into an owl monster. I could not find it stated explicitly anywhere, but because forcefully dunking people, usually women, was used to identify a witch or strigoi, her believed inability to be drowned may have been ascribed to the cull's protective qualities. You know what I mean? Like it got thrown into the soup that way? Even still, this transformation into an owl witch was thought to occur only after one's death, so killing one permanently meant finding its grave, where it was thought to sleep, and driving a wooden stake through its heart. Where have you heard that before? They were the ones who were also thought to be unable to grow armpit hair, and they disliked the smell of garlic and onions.
I remember that.
Also, sometimes their armpits glow. Make it make sense. On the other hand, if you find a strange woman skulking around a graveyard at night, or even inside a freshly dug grave, she might just be looking for some teeth.
I know that's happened to me before.
That being said, unless she's been hired by someone to source materials for some rich person's dentures, apparently that happened quite a bit, only those belonging to a man recently hanged will do. In 1799, Spanish painter Francisco Goya did an illustration of this folk superstition depicting a woman holding a handkerchief to her face as she reluctantly searches inside the mouth of a man still swinging. On this, Goya writes,
Of what things is a woman capable when she is in love? In order to get what she wants? Above all, if she is in love, she is capable of ripping the teeth from a hanged man.
Elsewhere, he explains the superstition.
The teeth of those killed by hanging are extremely useful for the casting of spells. Without this ingredient, one cannot gain profit or benefit. It is a shame that the lower classes still believe such foolishness.
This belief likely originated in Scandinavia, where Vikings would pay children in gold or silver coins for their lost baby teeth, as they were used to construct protective good luck talismans worn in battle, often strung on a necklace.
That's cool. I wanted like something to do with my teeth when I was a kid. I collected them. That would have been dope if I could sell them to a Viking.
I think I still have my first tooth that I lost.
Sometimes cited as the origin story of the tooth fairy, this too likely has a mythological basis. Teeth, after all, were sacred to the Norse god Odin, the Allfather, who also served as the patron of magic, wisdom, and the runes. According to his mythology, Odin made the ultimate sacrifice and famously hung himself to attain the wisdom of the runes, an alphabet which was traditionally carved into bone.
This makes so much sense.
Seeing that the runes are a linguistic or spoken form of magic, it would only stand to reason that the most appropriate type of bone to carve a rune into would be the ones that originally came from the mouth.
Okay.
Likewise, because spells often involve spoken incantations and written sigils, it would stand to reason that mouth bones, given in sacrifice to Odin by means of hanging, would constitute the ideal ingredient for a spell of any sort. After all, one of Odin's nicknames, Hangentyr, literally means God of the Hanged. If we also consider the effect Christianity had on folk magic at the time, the tooth of a condemned criminal may have further potency for a witch who, in exchange for prayers of redemption, could bargain with the recently deceased soul to perform work or retrieve information. So it's like, you go kill my enemies and I'll pray to God for you to get into heaven. Okay, Mr. John Dillinger, you go do it. Fear of witchcraft, after all, is cited as the reason other religions of Europe made a point of burying, burning, or hiding children's lost teeth to prevent them from falling into the unscrupulous hands of those who may hex the original owner with them. I've long heard it rumored that for a practitioner of Palomayombe, a person's baby tooth is the most powerful magic link possible to said person.
Well, that's good that I still have mine.
Yes, don't let it fall into the hands of an enemy.
Shit, I don't know where mine are.
I also, I burn my hair that I pull out of the hairbrush and the nail clippings too.
That does follow the same line of reasoning, but we'll talk about that shortly. In terms of teeth, they also would fling those into the fire, which they thought granted good luck. And this is the strangest one. They would feed them to mice or rats.
That's not food.
I probably sat and thought about this for at least an hour while I was making lunch, because it has something to to do with sympathetic magic, some people were saying, because like mice and rats, their teeth never stop growing. So if they eat yours, that means you won't get cavities. I don't know. Just hear me out.
Oh, interesting.
And then if you go to the rest of Europe, the tooth fairy actually did start as like a rat or a mouse, like Mickey Mouse.
Aw, how cute.
And there's like fairy legends of fairies stealing children's teeth, but they're not like happy, fun, cutesy fairies that you find in resin casts in stores. They're like spooky fairies that want your teeth.
Oh, we'll talk about them. They're coming up.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes they steal whole babies.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why you have to throw the baby.
So the fairies can't find it.
Yeah.
So, as you led on a moment ago, numerous cultures have similar practices for the disposal of not just teeth, but hair and nails as well. Folk beliefs regarding the clipping of nails are so specific in Ireland, they have an old poem to help remember it all.
Awesome.
Cut them on Monday, you cut them for news. Cut them on Tuesday, a new pair of shoes. Cut them on Wednesday, you cut them for wealth. Cut them on Thursday, you cut them for health. Cut them on Friday, a sweetheart you'll know. Saturday, a journey you'll go. Cut them on Sunday, you cut them for evil. For all the next week, you'll make friends with the devil. Oh shoot, don't cut your nails on Sunday.
Unless you're Satanist, that only clip your nails on Sunday.
I didn't know that like was classified as work.
You know, I had my very first pedicure of my whole life on the 3rd. I think that was a Wednesday. So I think I'm good.
You're good.
Yay.
If you really dissect it, it does seem like there's some traditional planetary associations at play, but...
Oh yeah, because Monday is
Monday is the moon, Tuesday is Mars, Wednesday is Mercury, Thursday is
okay, never mind.
Jupiter, Friday is Venus. Well, Friday and the sweetheart of that very much seems in line with Venus.
Well, Mercury is also the god of trade. Jupiter is used to invoke good health. Tuesday is associated with going, like vehicles. So like maybe
That
you get a
makes
flat
sense
tire.
tomorrow.
Careful.
Yeah.
Hinduism also has a number of different regional beliefs about what days are good or bad to clip nails based on that day's associated planetary ruler. Typically, Tuesday is the bad day because it's associated with violence and war, just how it is in our culture with Mars. But the one thing that nearly every culture agrees upon, from Korea to India to Europe to Russia, is that one should avoid clipping their nails at night, usually in the name of preventing the incursion of malevolent spirits who are attracted to human refuse. In Japan, these spirits are a type of yokai known as the akaname, which translates roughly to filth liquor.
Not those guys again.
Described as small, hunched-over creatures with long, greasy hair and moldy skin, the akaname has an extremely long and sticky tongue it uses to lick up slime, grease, hair, or fingernail clippings from behind the toilet or other unkempt areas. While they're also known to hide from humans, they still pose a danger as they spread disease. In Arab nations, evil jinn are also thought to be attracted to human filth. This being said, practical considerations might underlie these superstitions, as prior to, say, nail clippers, it was much easier to injure yourself, and a resulting infection could mean life or limb.
These are the guys that really weirded me out in the yokai episode. Nasty.
But they exist in every culture. They're just, a little different. I was told that you should always put the toilet seat down, always flush, even if it's just pee-pee, and to close the door to the restroom. Otherwise, the spirits that are attracted to that stuff can make their way into your space.
That's a good thing that I have all those habits then, because filth liquors are disgusting. They're really gross. Even in the traditional Japanese depictions, they're really gnarly.
There's one thing I found AI image generation is really good for. It's demons.
Yeah, it is.
It's the one thing they do incredibly well.
This thing has 2 tongues. This picture that you made with AI in the notes. So gross.
A similar superstition exists about the removal of hair. The Irish, for instance, who traditionally wear their hair down in mourning for Good Friday, are also said to be imparted with protection from headaches for the rest of the year if they cut their hair on Good Friday. But if you wait just a little bit longer until Easter Sunday, that's the best day to assure the hair grows back strong and beautiful, like how Jesus Christ grew back strong and beautiful. But watch out! Any other Sunday, it's the same as clipping nails. You're inviting the devil into your life for at least a week.
No.
In terms of good growth, cutting your hair on the full moon has a similar effect. But whatever you do, don't brush it under the moonlight near an open window, or you'll invite in evil spirits.
Wait, so don't cut your hair on a full moon?
No, you want to cut your hair on a full moon. You don't want to brush your hair under the moonlight of the full moon.
Okay.
Because evil spirits are attracted to hair. This is also why they say to never put a hat on the bed, because you don't want the evil hair spirits getting into the bed. Does this make sense?
But what if your bed is full of dog fur?
You're the devil.
Uh-oh. Tell Hide to stop shedding.
This reminds me of Mars in Holy Mountain. I think when she wakes up, like her 2 female concubines and all her dogs just get out of bed with her. Oh, it's a good movie. Now, there are so many superstitions about hair, they could probably fill an entire book. The 2 most common superstitions about hair are that number 1, hair is power, and number 2, like with nail clippings, hair is a potent magical link to the person who grew it. Innumerable hair superstitions ultimately boil down to these 2 beliefs. There is, of course, the biblical example of Samson, who, like Jesus, was born as a Nazarite and was not permitted to ever cut his hair. Likewise, it's only when Delilah betrays Samson by cutting his hair that the Philistines are able to subdue him. Biblical scholars are quick to point out, however, that Samson's power was not so much in his hair, but that his long hair was symbolic of his covenant with God. A devout witch or wizard would probably then reply that such tale was meant to invalidate the age-old belief that one's magic power was stored in the body, and that hair in this way could be accumulative, acting as a sort of mana pool for the individual. I tend to subscribe to this idea.
I do too. When the 2 times that I've had knee-length hair and then cut it, I felt so disconnected afterwards. And I actually lost a lot of environmental awareness of what was around my vicinity. Like I'd bump into things more. I felt a lot more disconnected.
Well, I have a medical reason, probably due to taking too much ibuprofen and messing up my stomach. Like the one really bad health problem I had as a young person. I lost all this weight, constant stomach problems, took me a long time to fix it. It corresponded in time to me cutting my long hair. And I'll never forget how I felt. I went from like looking and feeling like healthy and good. I felt like I had just spent the last year in the hospital on chemotherapy. Like I just looked and felt bad.
How do you feel now that you're growing your hair out?
I feel good. I feel like myself.
I feel similarly. Like I actually do feel healthier when I have longer hair. I feel a lot more spiritually in touch and environmentally in touch.
This episode has helped me understand that I am personally superstitious, whether I want to be or not. Like I was not superstitious about hair, and I still remember the feeling I had. Like I'm sick because I cut my hair, and I know that's not a rational conclusion, but I remember thinking that and feeling it. Weird.
I just look darn pretty with long hair, that's all.
You have red hair too, right?
Yep.
We'll get to that.
We're all just long-haired hippies here.
Actually, I'm strawberry blonde, so I only have 2/3 of a soul.
Oh my goodness. So this idea that hair is power, there are superstitions that go with it. For instance, you're not supposed to cut the hair of a sick person, a sleeping child, or a baby before the age of 1 for fear of dampening their vitality. The sick person could even die.
I didn't have my first haircut until I was in grade 6.
I believe people
Dang.
still follow this superstition today pretty regularly.
I mean, I kind of feel like maybe my mom followed that superstition and I just didn't know about it. She's
Yeah.
a very superstitious person.
Well, like we did that for my niece. Like we waited until I think she was like 2 or something. And yeah, it was a big ordeal to get her first haircut. But I think that's become a tradition now based on this superstition. Like people do it whether or not they're aware that it's, the history of it.
Like if it's not your superstition, somebody will mention it to you. This is an interesting caveat. The person who gives the toddler's first haircut should be chosen carefully, as whoever does so is said to impart their qualities upon the recipient for the rest of their lives.
I didn't know that one, but that makes sense why people are so picky about who does it.
Right, so if you want your child to grow up to be the best basketball player in the world, you would have Michael Jordan cut their hair.
My neighbor cut my hair the first time. She just happened to be a hairdresser.
Well, now you have to be a hairdresser.
No, she was nice. She was a nice lady.
That's why you're so nice.
Aw.
I'm sure my mom did mine, and that's why I'm a mama's boy.
It's funny because she almost cried when she cut my hair. And, well, I'm pretty easy to get to cry, apparently, sometimes. So I'm a sensitive person.
There you go.
I should have had Xena Warrior Princess cut my hair.
Naturally, most parents want to keep that first lock of hair. Traditionally speaking, you want to put it in a book if you want your kid to be smart. Then the kind of book matters. So if you want your kid to grow up to be a lawyer, you put it in a legal book.
Mine's just in a plastic bag.
Well, put it in a book.
Okay.
Now, the same law of sympathy also cautions people against brushing their hair outside or disposing of their hair outside, because a loose strand might be used to build a bird's nest, which by means of the constant plucking, pulling, and pecking is said to cause headaches.
What if you dispose of it outside by burning? Is that okay?
That's what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
Don't give it to a beaver.
Well, I can't help it. I shed like crazy, so I bet everyone in the general vicinity has a piece of my hair on them.
Of all the superstitions about hair, many cultures have one specifically for the color red, the rarest hair color. Typically, superstitions about red hair are less focused on the hair itself, but more about the person unlucky enough to grow it. I say unlucky because there always seems to be something that singles out the redhead unfairly.
They're just jealous because it's so beautiful.
Red hair is pretty cool, let's admit it. Most hair is kind of red if you hold it up to the light, so...
Mine's just gold in the light.
Well, hardly anybody thinks twice about what day they cut their hair or if a barber is making little dolls of their discarded locks or not. Folks with red hair have probably been singled out or even picked on at least once to this day for being a ginger. Am I right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't ever see people go like, oh, I can't go to the barber because it's Friday, but they'll pick on redheaded people. As recently as 1885, English novelist Wilkie Collins wrote,
The prejudice against habitual silence among the lower order of the people is almost as inveterate as the prejudice against red hair.
according to modern crime statistics, this prejudice against redheads has not entirely died out. In 2003, a 20-year-old was stabbed in the back for, quote, being a ginger. And in 2007, a family in Newcastle had to move twice after becoming the target of abuse and hate crimes on account of their red hair. Then, in December of 2009, British supermarket chain Tesco had to withdraw a Christmas card which had the image of a child with red hair sitting on the lap of Father Christmas and the words, Santa loves all kids, even the ginger ones.
Gee whiz.
British media even sometimes uses the word gingerphobia or gingerism to explain such acts of discrimination. But despite considerable pushback, the UK's Commission for Racial Equality does not monitor the discrimination or hate crimes against redheads.
Bro, they should though, if people are murdering over it. You know what? I retract saying I've been bullied over it. Like, nothing was this bad when I was a kid.
No, it's actually kind of bad in the UK, I guess.
I think I'm really lucky because it happens here too.
It's kind of funny by not monitoring them as hate crimes. It's kind of discrimination.
Yeah.
The question still remains, but why? Many speculate the discrimination is ancient. Turn of the century English clergyman Augustus Montagu Summers, known for his popular books on the occult, once wrote,
Those whose hair is red of a certain peculiar shade are unmistakably vampires. Okay. It is significant in Egypt, as Manetho tells us. Human sacrifices were offered at the grave of Osiris, and the victims were red-haired men who were burned, their ashes being scattered far and wide by winnowing fans. It is held by some authorities that this was done to fertilize the fields and produce a bounteous harvest, red hair symbolizing the golden wealth of the corn. But these men were called Typhonians, and were representatives of not Osiris, but of his evil rival Typhon, whose hair was red.
Oh boy. Okay, well, no, they did not make human sacrifices to red-haired or non-red-haired gods.
Yeah.
Of red-haired or non-red-haired men. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm not a freaking vampire, okay?
So don't believe this Augustus Montagu Summers. That's garbage. But, you know, red hair was associated with the god Set, which you could relate to Typhon. But red hair was not, like, inherently evil. They also had a very different relationship with how they understood Set. It wasn't like, oh, he's the devil and everything's evil, blah, 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 blah. And red hair was actually quite common as a color, henna dye in ancient Egypt, especially for when your hair, if you got older, when your hair started to get gray, you'll find a lot of mummies have had their hair dyed red. It's not what this guy is saying, though.
Apparently, Caesar, when he visited Egypt, has some mention in one of his journals that Cleopatra had adorned her hair as red, like the reddest red he had ever seen red. So,
I mean, henna, it was really popular and it still is really popular as a natural dye because it will still go in on top of darker colors to give you kind of like a more auburn red color.
henna's great for a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I kept hearing that Ramses II was known for his red hair, and by extension, he was associated with Set for that reason. So, red hair wasn't bad in ancient Egypt. We know at least that much. But the stereotypes of redheads persisted. In fact, famous satirist Jonathan Swift lampoons common superstitions about redheads in Gulliver's Travels, writing,
It is observed that the red-haired of both sexes are more libidinous and mischievous than the rest, whom yet they much exceed in strength and activity.
So they're horny. They're horny all the time, and they don't stop eating and drinking.
Oh wow, that is me.
During the age when the four humors dominated Western medicine, it was thought that redheads were disposed of sanguine temperament, while in Ayurveda, native to India, they're most likely to be considered of Pitta temperament. Meanwhile, in Japan, redheads were sometimes thought to be the offspring of lepers. This is not as prolific of a superstition as as the others, though. In the collected works of Theophilus Presbyter, a compendium of various medieval arts, there is a description of how the blood of a red-haired young man is necessary to create gold from copper in a mixture with ashes of a basilisk. Where you get the ashes of a basilisk is not mentioned. Perhaps the most severe case of gingerphobia occurred in medieval Spain, where anyone with red hair was considered Jewish, who in turn were actively being persecuted against at the time. Historians often cite two biblical sources for the bad rap redheads had in Christendom at this time. The first is blamed on Josephus, the famous Jewish Roman historian who, for one reason or another, translated the Torah to describe the heroic King David as having blonde hair, while the negative brother Esau was described as having red. In reality, the Torah seems to describe both of them as having fiery red hair, but the dichotomy only evolved under Christianity. This point seems to dovetail with some speculation we made last week. It was around this time in medieval Spain and Italy, they began depicting the traitor's disciple Judas Iscariot as having red hair. The association seems to have stuck, and is often claimed as the source for the hard time we give red-haired people in the West. Some historians downplay this as a need for artists to simply designate Judas as separate from the others visually, but it seems fairly clear that Judas became Jewish-coded, and the poor treatment afforded to ginger folk is really connected to a longer branch of anti-Semitism. And something tells me that Matt Stone and Trey Parker would probably agree. After thinking about it a tiny bit, I'm fairly certain that Miss Broflowski is intended to be the embodiment of the stereotype.
What? It makes sense.
Oh, I didn't really know about how big a deal gingerphobia was until that South Park episode where Cartman learns that gingers don't have souls, and so he keeps like teasing Kyle.
I mean, Matt Stone and Trey Parker are both Jewish, right? And so they could kind of get away with making Jewish jokes, right? It seems like they put a lot of thought into this one because, like, I read somewhere that they did like a Ghostbusters mashup or like a crossover Ghostbusters with South Park, and in the crossover, Miss Broflowski is Dana. Like, think about it. Like, Dana's very clearly depicted as like the whore of Babylon. Remember who Cartman's dad is? It's the whole like Dallas football team or something. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Right? But if you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, where we talk about where the word jinx came from, more about the color red, the harrowing tale of the cursed German submarine UB-65, how to perform a proper burial at sea and not get haunted by zombies, morning wood, whistling in the woods, La Lechuza, who's pretty frightening, and how to scare away fairies, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you the extended version of this episode, but you'll get every single one of our advertisement-free, uncensored, full-length episodes about every sort of topic about the occult you could possibly imagine. I'll even send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker of our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art, which is lucky AF, and you'll get the secret keys to our Discord server, where you can come hang out and talk to us about your folk superstitions. And if you have the time, get your butt paddled by Heka Astra at Scrabble, because that's what we do sometimes late at night. Thank you, everybody. Eat carrots and shoot lasers.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew pew.